Things just keep getting worse for the people of Ontario. Buried in the economic update from the Progressive Conservative Party, the governing party in Ontario, was this gem. Ford government reopens door to cash for access fundraising. The former Liberal government got rid of the practice last year after falling under a mountain of criticism. The Liberals banned ministers, MPPs, ministerial chiefs of staff, and all staff in the Premier's office from attending political fundraisers because of accusations it skewed government in favor of the wealthy who could pay to be heard. Now, Premier Doug Ford is reversing those bans and raising the fundraising limit on Ontario from $1,222 to $1,600 as of January 1st. So, the Doug Ford government is now reversing the ban on politicians meeting with wealthy donors before an election. Is this for the people? You know, the Doug Ford slogan that he continues to use. It's for the people to allow wealthy donors to meet with politicians, to give access to those wealthy donors, give them more access than the average person has. Is that for the people? Or is that for the rich people? Are voters in Ontario finally waking up now? Are you realizing that this government is all about the wealthy? Now, if you don't believe me, how about flash to back in May before the election, what Doug Ford was doing? Do you remember this? Doug Ford under fire for attending party fundraiser, defying campaign laws. Yep, I covered this story back in May when this happened. And this was a $250 a plate fundraiser. Doug Ford illegally attended this fundraiser. Yet, people did not wake up before the election realizing that this Doug Ford government, this party leader, or the party in general, is not for the people. So, you don't have to connect many dots here. The corruption is happening in front of your face. Doug Ford illegally met with these campaign donors before his election. He gets in, changes the rules so that what he did before the election is no longer illegal. I mean, let's go to, I just don't know what else to say here, because this is, for me, this is obvious. So I have to get into the mind of a conservative voter that would have voted for Doug Ford, who isn't a wealthy donor. Now, look, if you are a wealthy Doug Ford donor, you think this is great. This is good news for you. If you are everybody else, which would be 99.9% of the population of Ontario, if you were everybody else, then this is not good news for you. So let me go to the response from NDP leader Andrea Horwath on what she says about this. The NDP says the rebirth of cash for access fundraisers risks eroding trust in the democratic process. They say the concern is that wealthy people who can afford to donate hundreds of dollars to a political party will get better access to Ford and his inner circle. Quote, what we get for cash for access is something that slides us closer and closer to the American model, where people with money get to call the tune of the government, NDP leader Andrea Horwath told reporters Thursday afternoon. Yeah, exactly. We are sliding closer and closer to the American system. The American system that right now is completely dominated by money and politics. Now, thankfully, there are still no corporate donations allowed. This is simply wealthy donors meeting at, campaign fundraisers like at the $250 a plate dinner that Doug Ford went to. But we are moving in that direction. The more you allow this sort of money to come in, the more you allow this sort of campaign finance laws to allow politicians to meet with wealthy donors, you then begin to normalize it. And then it becomes easier to pass legislation that will allow corporations to donate large sums of money to these elections. So understand the direction we are moving. Doug Ford is bringing us backwards. Now, another example of the many things that were hidden in this budget. I mean, I could do a video on each of these. And maybe I should. But let me just give you an overview of some of them. So this from Mike Crowley. Ford government rolling back income tax hike on wealthiest, ending rent control in newly built units. So again, cutting taxes for the wealthiest. Who is that for? That's not for the people. That's for the rich people. Ending rent control. Who does that benefit? It benefits wealthy developers. That does not benefit the people. Rent control keeps your rent down. Now, I know if you're living in Toronto, you're thinking, how much worse could it get? It could get a lot worse. Your rent right now would be much higher than it currently is if it wasn't for rent control. So we're about to see those increases happen in the future. Now, I mean, there's more. There's more here. So here's another piece. Doug Ford's government cuts watchdog office that fought for foster kids. Oh, what a great move, Doug Ford. He's also cutting the environment watchdog, which really isn't surprising considering all his other moves against the environment. So again, Doug Ford and his cabinet, these are terrible people. They are making all the moves that benefit their wealthiest supporters, that benefit their special interest, that benefit large corporations, that benefit condo developers. That's who the PC government is in favor of. That's who they are listening to. So just so you get it, our government and now our entire system is moving towards benefiting the wealthiest of people in society. Thanks to this Doug Ford government. Thanks to the reversing he has done on some of these existing laws that, you know, the Liberals, for all my criticisms of the Liberal Party in Ontario, those were good moves they did. They responded to pressure about about the ridiculous campaign finance laws, about the $10,000 that that the donation limit used to be at, and then they reversed that and banned politicians meeting with wealthy donors. But then Doug Ford comes in and fucks it all up. So I just want people to understand, if you don't already know who Doug Ford is about, Doug Ford is for the rich.